So what I want to talk about now is another little incremental step in the way I create greater mid-tone contrast. Take for instance this scene here where you have this lighter colored granite wall and you have this slightly darker area over here. Now believe it or not, in this particular scene, this value and this value are only about 1.5 stops apart. So traditional, conventional wisdom would tell you that you would need to greatly expand the contrast through development. So you would give lower exposure and you would swell the contrast through development. My suggestion, in my process, I wouldn't do that. I would give this exposure at somewhat below zone 5. This would be somewhat above zone 6. The most I would go would be N+1. And what that's going to do for you, it's only going to move this up to zone 7. So you're not going to need a lot of contrast-killing green light to affect this tonality in the final print, which will allow you to use greater amount of blue light. And what happens when you use greater amount of blue light? You're going to expand the contrast in this veining of the marble. So that's going to exaggerate this mid-tone contrast, and it's going to give you a more tactile feel to the final print. These values here, the lighter values, are going to be controlled by the green exposure. But this, because you can put more blue exposure into this, is going to swell that mid-tone contrast. That's one more little incremental step that I use in my process that I think is beneficial, and it's a nice little tip to share with you folks. If you'd like to learn a little bit more